Hello there, and welcome to today's episode of the Easy EdTech Podcast. My name is Monica Burns, and I am so glad that you're here to join me today. If you want to make the most of education technology, aka EdTech, well, you are in the right place. My goal has always been to help make EdTech easier and give you ideas you can try yourself, share with a colleague, or bookmark for later in the school year. Every Tuesday here on the Easy EdTech Podcast, you'll hear stories from my time in the classroom, the work I do now with schools and districts, and my travels to different EdTech events. Get ready for solo episodes where I share some quick tips and stories, and interviews full of practical ideas and stories from new guests each month. If we mention something you'd like to check out, make sure to click the link. You'll find it in the episode description or the summary area where you're listening to this podcast, or you can find every episode and all of the resources we mention by going to classtechtips.com/podcast, or by going to classtechtips.com and just clicking on the Easy EdTech Podcast button at the top of the page. Today's episode is sponsored by my new free quiz, Unlock the Best Way to Use Chatbots in Your Teaching. This quick 5-question quiz will help you figure out the best way to use AI this school year. Find out if AI can support your instructional planning and help you tackle your to-do list. Everyone who takes the quiz will also get a free ebook. Head to classtechtips.com/quiz to find my new quiz. Unlock the best way to use chatbots in your teaching. That's classtechtips.com/quiz. This week's episode is titled AI Websites from Google You'll Want to Try. Now, there have been so many new advancements and movement when it comes to artificial intelligence over the past few years. I'm recording this from Syracuse today, where I'm about to host a 2-day workshop for educators all about this topic of artificial intelligence and harnessing the power of AI. And many companies are looking closely at what they can offer, not just educators, but really anyone who wants to interact with AI. So Google offers a variety of AI tools that are designed to simplify tasks, inspire creativity, and enhance student engagement. So I thought I would focus today on a handful of these ones, as I know many of you are in Googly environments or might use Google personally to create content that you then share with students. So today in this episode, we'll explore some AI tools from Google that educators should know about, that you might want to try out if you are curious about the power of AI. Now, some of these create visuals, right? You could use them to make visuals to support vocab. Some will allow you to make music or generate music, maybe something that sets the tone for a history lesson. So there's really something for everyone here. Now, what should you know about these AI tools from Google? Well, they are designed to do a lot of different things, and a few things that are important for us in this episode. I'm going to share some that require a Google account to access. Not all of them, but some of them do. And if you are encountering any issues, if it does prompt you to log in, a few of these tools are part of Google's AI Test Kitchen, which you have to opt into or say, yep, I want to try these things out. Now, depending on whether you're logging in with a personal Gmail account or a Google Workspace account, the permissions might be a little bit different. So kind of the bottom line here is that most of these tools will work for you right away, some without even logging in. A few might have that Test Kitchen barrier depending on the way you log in, but I would anticipate them having a wider release sooner than later. So I included them on this list anyhow. And of course, just like every episode of the podcast, I've got oodles of resources for you. So you can click on those show notes and you'll find everything that we talk about. So let's get into this list of AI tools from Google's, ones that can help prepare instructional resources and create engaging digital experiences for your students. First up is ImageFX, like the letters FX, to make pictures. And there are lots of use cases for this tool. One to consider is creating custom images to support vocabulary instruction. For example, you might use ImageFX to generate images that visually represent some complex words or concepts to help students make connections and deepen their understanding. Next up, also, this one has FX on the end. It's MusicFX to create short clips. You can generate or create music that sets the tone for a lesson. Maybe it brings a historical period to life, or using this tool to create an immersive experience for students about, say, the Roaring Twenties or a contemporary cultural movement. Lots of options. So whether it's social studies or literature, those might be obvious connections. You could also create music related to a science or a math topic. For example, you might write a prompt to create a musical clip about a weather system, and then ask students for feedback on how to tweak that prompt to make a stronger output, or something that connects a little bit more closely to your goal. So the first two were ImageFX and MusicFX. Next up is Food Mood. Of all the AI tools from Google that we'll look at today, this one might be the silliest on the list. I just shared it with a group in Pennsylvania last week and definitely got some laughs when we first took a look at it. But it's a tool that's great for fostering critical thinking because it explores the connection between two cultures. So what this does is it provides some constraints for you, like you choose a meal type, you choose 2 different countries, and if you want to, you can even add in a requested ingredient. Once it has that information, it will create a recipe for you. So you could kind of type a prompt in like this into ChatGPT, but this is going to give you a cleaner interface. It's going to do some of that heavy lifting with the prompt generation behind the scenes, and it even comes with an AI generated image. So you could ask students to reflect on what the tool suggests about cultural similarities and differences, and maybe it even provides a springboard for some deeper discussions. Another fun one, not quite as silly, but definitely engaging, is Talking Tours. I love Google Arts and Culture. If you followed along with me for a while, you know this is one I often share. It's featured in the Explore chapter of my book, EdTech Essentials, both the first and the second edition. And with this AI-powered tool within Google Arts and Culture, you can invite an AI-generated tour guide into your classroom. So Talking Tours gives you a few dozen options of places to visit. You can take your class on an interactive virtual tour of a historical site, a museum, or geographical location. And the last time I demoed this live for a group, we went to Machu Picchu. And you can interact with the tour guide. You can even interrupt it by raising your little virtual hand and ask a question in the moment. So great as a model for student projects where they might even create their own virtual tours. Another that you can find inside of Google Arts and Culture is called 1-Minute Guides. So this is similar to Talking Tours in the way that you might use it maybe as an example for a student writing or research project. You could have kids interact with these 1-minute guides and then create their own concise guides on a topic they've studied, right? Something that they could use to showcase how they've synthesized information from a few different places. So they can use an audio tool, maybe Adobe Podcast or GarageBand, to record a conversation that's modeled after the 1-minute guides you show them. So those 3, Food Mood, Talking Tours, and 1-minute guides, are all built into Google Arts and Culture's website and great options. Next up is Illuminate Books. Illuminate is an AI tool from Google where you're going to really want to check this one out. It has a whole section dedicated to books where you can access AI generated conversations that summarize books in the public domain. So you might decide to share these recaps with kids to spark some interest in classical literature, or even for yourself, you might find that it provides a quick overview before a deeper conversation you're about to lead with your class. So that one is Illuminate Books. You can find it on the Illuminate website. Another tool that's built into Illuminate allows you to generate or create conversations based on content of your choice, not just the books in the public domain that they feature. So you can use the Generate tool to create custom audio conversations about specific topics. So I work with lots of different groups of educators. This week, I'm working with some media specialists. Last week, I was working with some after-school educators. And with that after-school group I spent some time with, we put in a Time magazine article that featured Caitlin Clark as I guess it was Athlete of the Year is how they categorized her. So it was one of those features. We popped it in and it will create a mini podcast. I want to say conversation, but it's really like two robots reading content aloud. So kind of like a YouTube video, you're going to want to preview this before you share it with kids. It's like usually a little 5-minute recap, but you can also model how to interact with it too, even if you don't let kids loose with this particular tool. Now, Illuminate, both the books area and the create area, I kind of think of it as an easier entry point than the tool that's gotten more attention, which is Notebook LM. And so it's Notebook with the letters L and M. This creates an audio conversation from content. So it's not just adding the quick article. Here you can go into it with a much deeper level. You can upload one or more piece of information, PDF, document, website, you name it. And it's great for creating spaces where you can interact with research papers, notes from a conference, or really any set of information you want to focus on. I even uploaded a menu to a restaurant that's around maybe just a mile or so from our house just to see what it would do. And it created like this mini podcast episode talking about the highlights of the menu. So many different use cases for it. Notebook LM has different tiers and kind of different ways to interact with it that are evolving. So even as I record this and it's going to go live, within a week probably of this time I'm recording, it could change kind of what the plans are for access. So that's why I'm being a little vague in talking about it. So depending on your school account, workspace account, right, personal account, your access levels might be different, but I think it's still worth checking out. Now, what I have to kind of wrap us up on this list is not a catch-all, but the Google tool that's gotten the most attention probably, which is Gemini. So Gemini is Google's chatbot. This is a tool that offers capabilities similar to ChatGPT. When it first came on the scene, I guess like 2 years ago now, or a year and a half at least, it was called Bard. Now it goes by Gemini. So if you played around with that in the past, same thing. And you can interact with Gemini in a similar way as other chatbots. So if you downloaded my free resource with ChatGPT prompts, you can find that on my website in the free stuff area, and I'll link out to it also. You could try those same ChatGPT prompts in Gemini. It's just a different chatbot, different interface, but pretty similar. So you could use Gemini to brainstorm ideas, generate lesson plans, or find connections between the topic you're teaching and a topic that's high interest to your group. So there you have it in this quick solo episode looking at some teacher-friendly, educator-friendly AI tools from Google. These are ones that you might use to create content you share with kids, like that Image FX or Music FX that you use yourself for professional learning, like Notebook LM. Or ones that you might use to save time, like Gemini, spark curiosity, like Food Mood, and maybe even foster some critical thinking, like Illuminate books. So plenty of options here. I'm giving an overview of some favorites. And if you have one that you're like, oh my gosh, Monica, I can't believe you didn't include it in this episode, feel free to send me an email. You can just reply to my free Monday newsletter. I get and read all of those. Or you could, of course, reach out to me on Instagram, send me a DM. Always excited to hear what you are excited about. So let's make this EdTech easy with a few key points from the episode. Explore Google's AI tools to streamline your lesson planning and resource creation. Use tools like ImageFX, MusicFX, and NotebookLM to enhance your lessons with visuals, music, and interactive summaries. Leverage these tools to save time, spark student interest, and foster deeper thinking. Remember, you can find the show notes and the full list of resources from this episode by heading to classtechtips.com/podcast and finding today's episode, number 310. Today's episode is sponsored by my new free quiz, Unlock the Best Way to Use Chatbots in Your Teaching. This quick 5-question quiz will help you figure out the best way to use AI this school year. Find out if AI can support your instructional planning and help you tackle your to-do list. Everyone who takes the quiz will also get a free ebook. Head to classtechtips.com/quiz to find my new quiz. Unlock the best way to use chatbots in your teaching. That's classtechtips.com/quiz. Thank you for listening to this new episode of the Easy EdTech podcast. I love creating new episodes for you each week, but I could use a bit of help spreading the word about the podcast. Can you leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app? Spotify will let you tap on the stars, and Apple Podcasts will let you tap on the stars and leave a 1 or 2 sentence review. Thank you so much for taking this extra step. It helps other educators find episodes like this one when they're searching for EdTech tips.